All right, so shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'm gonna start off by saying Barakathon, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shah, and I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shah Bahashem Makakadice. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and shout out to the hopefully elect, starting with the 144,000 shalom. All right, so real fast. All right, Lord willing, this hit me in spirit. Watching the lesson, right? Let me say, you probably won't be no long one, because there's plenty, lessons as the elders and, the brothers themselves, the Akim, that went into as well, but as the elders would say, this is the base learning, base curriculum, right? Something you learn, right? The title of the lesson will be, we will achieve perfection in the kingdom, right? And, it hit me in spirit because, right now, right, we've been made perfect through our sufferings, right? Let's go to that. Let's cut that off. All right, so this Hebrews 2, right? So this Hebrews 2:9, right? It said, but we see Yahushua, who is made a little lower than the angels for the suffering of death, crowned the glory and honor, that he by the grace of Yahweh should taste death for every man, right? It said, for it became him for whom are all things, and by whom are all things, and bringing many sons unto glory, to make the captain of their salvation perfect through sufferings, right? And we know that in His truth, right, we're supposed to suffer, go through hardship, go through pain, because we're not of this world, right? It ain't just necessarily physical suffering yet, right? But purging out the way of this world, purging out the way of the people around us, getting out of this darkness, right? It puts it, being persecuted by people, being hated by people, right? None of the things, that we endure within His truth. There's many ways to go into the suffering, right? They physically, back then, they was physically, persecuting the prophets and Yahushua, right? Which is going to get to that, later on in Jacob's trouble or whatnot. That's why Yahushua said, right? In the book of Sirach, chapter 2, verse 1 said, my son, thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thyself for temptation. Because you got to think, the Jake who not in this truth, right? They living daily with happy, whatever they doing, right? They walking around here doing whatever they feel like they want to do. See, we're suffering to purge out our own will, purge out our own way, right? That time we want to do this, but we know we're not supposed to do that because it's not of Yahushua. They want to go do this. They want to go get money this way. They want to go do things this way. That's not what we do because it's not of Yahushua. So we suffering to purge out our own way, our own will, right? And that's what's making us, that's what's leading us to that road to perfection, right? Because once we purge out our own way, we purge out that fleshly mindset, that fleshly way, right? Yahushua, He know that we're ready, right? That's why He said, you shall be tried as gold is tried, right? Because a lot of Jake can say, oh yeah, I'm ready, right? That's why He say in 2nd Esdras 7, right? I get straight to the point. Verse 9, right, says, if this city now were given unto a man for an inheritance, if he never shall pass the danger set before it, how shall he receive this inheritance? And that's what goes back all the way even to, the garden, man, right? When the Most High allowed Adam to go off, right? He allowed Adam to go off, right? I continue to read down. It said, and I said, it's so, Lord. Then said He even to me, even so also is Israel portion, right? He said, because for their sakes I made the world, and when Adam transgressed my statutes, then was decreed and I was done. Then were the ends of this world made narrow, full of sorrow, travail, and they are but few and evil, full of perils and very painful, right? For the ends of the elder world were wide and sure and brought immortal fruit, right? So he said, if then they that live labor not to enter these straight and vain things, not straight as in line, like straight and vain things, difficult, hard things, right? They can never receive those that are laid up for them. So we have to go through these sufferings, going through these pain, and that's how Yahushua know if we really with Him, right? Because Jacob talk good talk, but when Jacob's trouble hit, it's a lot of people do somebody that count with it. It's a lot of people that's gonna take the chip. At first, they're gonna reject it, but once they started seeing Esau persecution, seeing the starvation, seeing the hardship, seeing the things that it come with without taking that chip, right? Then they're gonna want to take it, because they ain't gonna be able to endure it. They ain't gonna be able to endure the suffering. They ain't gonna be able to endure the pain, right? So that's how we be made perfect through our suffering, right? Going through that hardship, going through that pain, pursing out all those ways, pursing out all those things that we're set to face, with being in this truth, right? And that's what's leading us to this. That's what's leading to the perfection, right? Paul said as well, right? Paul said as well, right? In Romans 7, how the hardship we face with being in this, in this flesh, right? Let's see. Bear with me. I'm gonna start at verse 19, right? Right? It says, matter of fact, I'll start verse 18. It says, for I know the enemy that is in my flesh doeth no good thing, for to will is present with me, but how to perform that which is good I find not. Because in this flesh, it's hard. In this flesh, it's imperfect. It's hard for us to It's hard for us to keep the laws perfect in this flesh. It's hard for us to be perfect in this. We can't be perfect in this flesh. Let me put it like that. We can't be perfect in this flesh. As long as we're in this flesh, we're gonna be imperfect, man. We're gonna go off. We're gonna be corruptible, right? That's what kills us, right? Because we're gonna sin. Sin what brings forth death, right? That's why we understand we're gonna be perfect in the kingdom. Because why? In the kingdom, well, which we're gonna get to. Just a quick precept on it. The laws and commandments are written in our hearts and minds. So there's going to be no more. There's going to be no more sin. There's going to be no more. There's going to be no more death. There's going to be no more decay, because we're going to be perfect, right? See, people are dying now because what? Sin brings forth death. So it's judgment, right? But in that kingdom, we're going to in the kingdom we're going to achieve that perfection, because there's going to be no more death. There's going to be no more decaying, right? We ain't going to be everything going to be perfect. Kingdom of righteousness, right? Because Yahweh Shem is we're going to be taking out his flesh. Right, that's why the scriptures say, 1 Corinthians 15:50, right? It says, just reading real fast. It says, now I say this, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of Yahweh, neither do corruption inherit incorruption. So we're going to take off this corruption, and we're going to be changed into incorruptible bodies, right? That's that perfection, right? And that's how all Israel going to be saved. Right, all Israel gonna be saved, man. It's just that 2/3 gonna go through that judgment first. They're gonna be destroyed. Right, they're gonna be reborn again to the kingdom through the elect seed. But they ain't even gonna be perfect, because the second covenant tells us all the laws and commandments gonna be written in our hearts and minds. So there ain't gonna be no more. We gonna teach other nations, but all of Israel will know. So there ain't gonna be no more dying. There ain't gonna be no more decay. We're gonna be perfect once again. Right, gonna be made pure. Right, just real fast. That's why now those ones who endure the suffering, endure the pain. That's why the elect endure that suffering. The elect endure those things. That's why Paul. That's why John the Baptist. That's why they was martyrs for this truth, because they endured the suffering, they endured the pain. They're going to be perfect. They're going to receive that first domain in the kingdom, right? They're going to receive that. They're going to be the ones who set that standard in the kingdom, right? And they set the standard here today, here, in this wicked kingdom, right? But they're going to be made. They're going to receive that perfection in the kingdom, because why? They endured that suffering and that pain, right? They endured that hardship. They endured whatever they had to do for the name of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. So therefore, the kingdom. That's why they're going to overcome that destruction, right? Real fast. I appreciate let my bear with me. Con. This 2 Timothy. Through all the Yahushua. This 2 Timothy 2, right? And I start at verse 3. It says, I start at verse 1. It says, thou therefore, my son, be strong in the grace that is in Mashiach Yahushua. And also Paul talked about that grace in I think it's 1 Corinthians 2, or 1 Corinthians, let me see. but it talks about our grace is sufficient. 2 Corinthians 12:9, right? That grace is sufficient because the grace of Yahweh Shai is what helps us overcome. It's what helps us fight against our weakness. It will help us endure the suffering because we understand that Yahweh Shai create these sufferings for us to face, to see who will withstand, as we read in second Ezra chapter 7. Because, if you don't do that suffering and pain now, guess what? You're gonna quit, you're gonna give up. So how can the Most High just come into the kingdom and make you perfect? Right? He can't just give you that. He can't just give it to you. Right? It's an agreement, that covenant. It's an agreement. The first covenant we broke. Right? So in this covenant, it's grace, faith, enduring the suffering, enduring the hardship, enduring the pain. We be made perfect through the grace of our salvation, through the sufferings. So we got to suffer through this thing to see that perfection. We got to do it because that's how the Most High gonna know if you really rocking with him. There's a sport. I always use sports analogy. I used to play sports. I used to play football, right? Your coach can't put you in the game if you can't go through the workouts, if you can't learn the plays, if you can't do because you have to take time. You got to do that suffer through the workout. Got to do that suffer, stand up late night studying them plays, doing extra work. You got to endure all that so the coach can understand that you're worthy to be on the field, right? Well, that's the same thing. How about Yahweh Shai for you to overcome this play? Because a lot of Jake mind gone, right? That's why he said I will give you a new heart, right? And that heart goes to mine because a lot of Jake mind is out the window, right? A lot of Jake minds. If it was up to Yahweh Shai, if Yahweh Shai put it in our hands, we would have been cooked because Jake is gone. But Yahweh Shai, he knew he had the election. He knew he had the elect. So he sent Yahweh Shai. That's what Yahweh Shai came for, those elect, right? And those elect are the ones who are doing that suffering, who are doing that pain, who are doing that hardship, who are doing the things that's on that road to perfection, which we're going to receive in the kingdom, right? It says, "And the things that thou hast heard of me among many witnesses, the same commit thou to faithful men who shall teach others also," right? Now, this is Paul writing a letter to Timothy, right? Telling people how to act, telling people, use him as an example. He also said it in Philippians, right? It says, "Thou therefore endure hardness as a good soldier of Yahweh Shai HaMashiach," man, right? You got to endure hardness, right? He said, "No man that warreth entangle himself with the affairs of this life, that he may please him who has chosen him to be a soldier," because we're soldiers for Yahweh Shai. Soldiers don't just have it, they got to suffer. Gunshots, fighting, all that, right? That's what we have to do. We got to suffer this. We got to suffer this pain and all this hardship, this hardness for the sake of Yahweh Shai, to give him honor and glory, so he can know who with us, right? Because that's how you know who really with you when things get hard. When things jolly, when things good, you just like with Jake, right? The Most High. Come on, think about it. It just hit me in the spirit. John 2 talks, Jeremiah 2 talks about this, right? Jeremiah 2 where it talks about, where the Most High break our yoke, and we'll say we won't transgress no more. Then guess what? As soon as the Most High deliver Jake go back doing the same thing, right? Even in the world today, things get hard. That's when everybody want to, the brother could conquer bar. It's a spirit. He just did a lesson. I clicked it, but I ain't watched it fully. I watched it like a little mini clip he had in it, right? Where it said, when a man asked the girl, like, if it was the last day on earth, what would you do? And she said, get close to God. The world really called Yahweh God, but she was like, get close to God. And the brother titled his lesson was, why wait till the last day? Because that's how Jake is, right? Jake will wait till the last day to try to correct things. So that's how you know they're not really with you, man. They only with you when they truly know why the Most High say, I'll laugh at your calamity, because they're not truly rocking with Yahweh Shai, right? This is how Jake is. So the Most High made it what? He made the entrance of the world narrow. When Adam went off, right? When Adam brought sin into the world, death to the world, right? I'm talking about Romans 5, and that same spirit that brought sin into the world, brought death to the world, that same one who's going to bring righteousness, who's the same one going to bring immortality. That's Yahweh Shai, right? Adam and Yahweh Shai, same spirit. But the point is, right, the point is the fact of that, that's how Jake is. Jake could wait last minute to try to get right with the Most High. So the Most High, I don't know if you really with him or not. I don't know if you really with me or not. If you think about it, man, this ain't no mind games. Those are spiritual for you to understand it, but it's planted to the holy, stone block to the wicked. I can't know if you really rocking with this thing. Just when times get hard, is when you call on me. What about those good times? What about those what's the name time? What about those times when it was tough for real, and you chose your own way, the drugs, to go steal, to go do all these wicked things to try to get by instead of keeping faith, instead of doing the suffering and understanding that I'm going to deliver you. And that's the man Yahweh Shai want. right? And that's why, once again, they're the ones who are going to see that first domain. They're the ones who are going to set that standard in the kingdom. They're the ones who set that standard today here. Did a lesson on that about a week ago, right? They're going to set that standard here, that first dominion, man. They setting that standard here today. That all that we need is Yahweh Shem Yahushua. We don't need nothing else. All that, whatever else come behind that, suffering, pain, hardship, we're endure it because we know Yahweh Shem Yahushua is going to deliver us. And that's why we've been made perfect through our sufferings, man. It was going to receive that, we're going to achieve that perfection in the kingdom, right? But going to verse 19, it says, for the good that I would do, it's like for the good that I would do not, but the evil which I would not, that I do. Because he don't want to sin, he don't want to go off, but he do, because we in these corruptible bodies, right? It says, now if I do that I would not, it is no more that I do it, but it's sin that dwelleth in me, because we're imperfect. It's a sin that dwelleth in us. So we got to be made perfect, because we got to get out these fleshly bodies, because we're imperfect in these fleshly bodies. We can't keep God's commands perfect. We can't do right all the time. It's plenty of times we can, right? We're striving for righteousness, right? We know we that's why understanding why Yahweh talks about that in Romans. I want to say chapter 6, very fast. Bear with me. I'm sorry, I searched up the scripts on my other phone using Google, right? What is that precept? Just trying to let's see if it come up when I type in servants unto righteousness. Yeah, Romans 6:16, right? Romans 6:16, right? It says, it's like we right here. I go to it. It says, know ye not that to whom ye yourselves serve servants to obey? His servants ye are whom ye obey, whether sin unto death or unto righteousness. You gotta know that's why Yahweh he came to deliver us. He came to fulfill the law for us. So we're not judged by the law anymore, right? We judged by faith and grace, right? So therefore, we ain't under that. We still in this bondage, in these corrupted bodies, but we don't have to just go off. We don't have to just sin. We don't have to just be out here wilding, right? We have Yahweh who brought that grace upon us. So now we say by faith and grace. So now we can taste righteousness by doing the right things. Because the Most High know we're gonna go off in these fleshly bodies. Paul said it ain't me. It's sin that dwelleth in me. He know we're gonna go off. That's why we strive to the best of our abilities to push and rehearse that righteous act. That's why we keep that's why we keep the true holiday, the Day of Atonement, the Passover. That's why we keep those things. Even though we don't have to, we keep those things because we're chasing that righteousness, because we're servants unto righteousness. We know if you got Jake out here who look how Christianity got him wilding out. Jake think that he could just act like he can just act like he's just gonna be delivered because he's saved. And that's that being obedient unto sin. Look how Jake live his life, right? Jake be out here wild and doing whatever. They being obedient unto sin, unto death. But we've been obedient unto righteousness, because we chasing righteousness, right? And how we doing that? And doing the suffering, doing the pain. First, not the world, getting out the way of the world, doing the things Yahweh Shem told us to, right? Don't eat pork. Don't cut for like little things that we control. We being servants to that righteousness, man. We chasing it, right? We chasing righteousness, man. And Lord willing, that path to chasing righteousness is going to lead us. That's that narrow. Matter of fact, that's that narrow passage. Matthew 7:13. Also talking about the second Ezra 7, which we read. That's that narrow passage. Things on the right, things on the left. We focus on that narrow passage, right? All these things trying to get at us. We ain't doing it, so we're doing the pain. We're doing the dark. They shooting at us, but we got the faith of Yahweh Shem Yahushua to block it away, and we stand focused on the narrow passage. Right? It says, verse 22 says, "For I delight in the law of power after the inward man. The inward man is the spirit. We're moving in the spirit." He said, "But I see another law in my members, warring against the law of my mind, and bringing me to the captivity to the law which is of sin, which is in my members. O wretched man that I am, who shall deliver me from this body of this death?" Man, right? And Lord, well, I don't want to receive no phone call. I'm gonna go to the NLT real fast and pull it up, because I don't want nobody to. Let's see. Bear with me. We're in Romans chapter 7. All right. It's Romans chapter 7, right? And we at verse 23. We start verse 23, right? It says, "But there's another power within me that is at war with my mind, What is that? The war in the that's the war in the flesh. What Paul talk about, right? Galatians chapter 5, starting at verse 16. The spirit versus the flesh. That's why you got to move in the spirit. You got to chase after the spirit. Romans chapter 8, right? Think spiritual is life. Think carnal is death. We got to move in the spirit, right? So it says, this power makes me a slave to the sin that is still within me. And that's what Jake moved. That's what Jake live in. Jake, that's what I was talking about earlier. Jake live in that. They make themselves slaves to sin because they just give in to the flesh. They just give in to that. Not understanding that Yahweh Shem Shai that came to deliver us. He not, he not delivered us yet, but he done set the path for us to be delivered, to be made perfect. So now we just got to endure the suffering, endure the pain, and purge out that flesh, purge out that way of our own will, right? Endure the suffering, endure the hardship. Where it says focus on the kingdom, focus on righteousness in the kingdom. Everything else should be added unto thee. That's all we got to focus on. But Jake ready to focus on money, girls, clothes, cars, all these other things. Jake mindset gone. That's why once again he said I will give you a new heart. With such a word, the heart goes into mind, man. He said, oh, what a miserable person I am, right? Who will free me from this life that is dominated by sin and death, right? So how we going to be delivered from this life, right? It says, thank Yahweh. The answer is in Yahweh Shah Mashiach, our Lord. So you see how it is. In my mind, I really want to obey Yahweh's law, but because I am of sinful nature, I am a slave to sin. That's why you read Romans 6. But now we have Yahweh Shah who came and delivered us, right? So yes, sin, the flesh try to control us, but we move in the spirit, right? Because right now, we got, that's why we got to have the spirit, Yahweh Shah. Because our mind, our spirit is weak. But each and every day, Yahweh Shah supplies us, because he came out here with the fullness to overcome the temptation. We're going to overcome a lot of it, but that's what we got to do, to suffer, do the pain, to fight, to stay strong. A lot of people give up in this fight, man. A lot of people quit. You done seen people give up. You done seen people quit, right? But we don't quit because each and every day, Yahweh Shah supplying us with that spirit to overcome, to stay strong, right? And that's why, Lord willing, those are the ones who do that suffering. That's why it says, going back to Hebrews 10 again, right? Just understanding it, right? Because it just hit me in the spirit as well. Just really understand. That's why he said what he said, right? He said, Hebrews 2:10, for it became him for whom are all things, about whom are all things, somebody Yahweh Shah, and bringing many sons unto glory. What is the glory? The kingdom. Romans 9:4, right? Bringing many sons unto glory, to make the captain of their salvation, or that the deliverance that we're going to receive, right? The beginning with the elect, right? Perfect through sufferings, right? So that perfection we're going to achieve in the kingdom, we made perfect through our sufferings, because Yahweh Shah know we truly with him. We truly rocking with him, right? What is that? 2nd Ezra 16. Bear with me. They should be tried as gold is tried. Yeah. 2nd Ezra 16:73. He said, Then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as the gold in the fire. Hear, O ye my beloved, saith the Lord. Behold, the days of trouble are at hand. Right? That's how Yahweh Shah knowing who with him. They made perfect through suffering, going through that hardship, going through that pain, and doing that suffering and pain. That's how Yahweh Shah gonna know who with him. Right? When gold go through the fire, it still come out with its value. When we go through this fire, we go through this suffering, we go through this pain, we still got to come out with the same value, right? Of being sons of Yahweh Shah, man. Right? Of being children, which in Hebrews is sons of Yahweh Shah, right? So I had another piece I wanted to read, just close it out. Jeremiah 31:31, going into that perfection, right? And once again, all Israel will be saved, but it's beginning with the elect. And those are the ones who are doing that suffering, doing that pain, right? But all Israel will be saved. So I want to mention that. But this is Jeremiah 31, in verse 31. It says, Behold, the days come, said the Lord Yahweh, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which is my covenant they break, right? Because we broke the first covenant. Well, who's at variance with Yahweh Shah, right? Because we can't keep the laws and commandments perfect. Most I got taught our sacrifices. So he sent Yahweh Shah down here to what? To deliver us. And we're going to receive their perfection in the kingdom. They're going to be made perfect, right? In the kingdom. He said, although I was an husband to them, said the Lord Yahweh, but this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel. After those days, says the Lord Yahweh, I will put my laws in their inward parts and write in their hearts, and will be their power, and they shall be my people. Once again, that heart goes into mind. So the laws are written in our hearts and minds, man. Right? He's gonna give us we're gonna be perfect. Right? We're gonna be perfect, right? It's a scripture in Ezekiel 36 where it said we're gonna be perfect. We're gonna load at the shit we used to do. We're gonna be like, damn, we was that wicked. You know, that's how the spirit's on us now. Paul talked about it, if I consent to the law, then it's good, because we seeing like, damn, what the hell am I doing? This is wicked. We see it now. See, a lot of Jake don't see it, but when the laws come in written in our hearts and mind, Israel gonna see it. Our whole nation gonna see it. Scripture says you're gonna load, like, damn, that was me. I was doing that. Because Jake don't understand they don't want to understand the confusion they in. Because Scripture tell you, Jeremiah 15, Matthew 15, that there's no cloak for their sin, right? There's no cloak for their sin, right? It says, verse 34, it said, they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, know the Lord Yahweh, for they shall all know me, from the least of them to the greatest of them, says the Lord Yahweh. For I will forgive their iniquity. Y'all remember that sin no more. We're going to low, we're going to see like, dang, we're going off, right? But Yahweh Shem, because we're going to be perfect. So we're going to be in these perfect bodies, man. We're going to be in these spiritual bodies. Because the law is spiritual. We're going to keep the law is perfect. There's going to be no more death, right? Sin bring forth death. So ain't going to be no more death, man. I got a precept I just wanted to bring out real fast because on my spirit, 2nd Esdras 8, right? In verse 1 says, he answered me saying, the Most High made this world for many, but the world to come for a few. And that's those ones who chasing that profess, the ones who are doing that suffering, doing that pain. That's the kingdom, right? This world right here, yeah, everybody love this wide gate, do whatever you want to do. But the world to come, the ones who do that suffering, do that pain, do that hardship, that's for few. That's for few, man. That's for the elect. Those are the ones who are going to do that suffering, do that pain, do that hardship. We're going to receive that perfection. Well, all Israel going to receive it, but beginning with the elect, man, right? So, Lord willing, right? Holy lessons edify and exalted, right? And I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shah, by Hashem, Kakadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and shout out to the whole elect, starting with the 144,000. Shalom.